hi there everyone. So today we're going to be thinking about what you're going to be studying in your psychology GCSE at Kingsdale Foundation School. And throughout this session, what we're going to be thinking about is what do you think psychology is, or we're going to go through sections about what psychology is and also what does a psychologist actually do. So first we're going to go through the nots and about what psychology is not. Psychology is not an easy subject. It is not just common sense. It is not wishy-washy and unscientific. In fact, it's actually highly scientific, and you should bear this in mind when thinking about choosing this subject. It is also not just to do with psychiatry and analysis, and it is not all about feelings. There's then a couple of cartoons that you can look at there just before we move on. Okay, so now a few further what psychologists are not. They're not all the same. They are not always analysing people, and they're not able to read people's minds, rather they analyse the mind. And they're not only interested in crazy people. So what is psychology? So psychology is the study of people, behaviour and the mind. It is scientific and rigorous. It is not an easy subject. Psychology is a broad subject with many different areas. It is always changing, and it is fascinating and worthwhile. So how will you actually be assessed? So firstly, in paper 1, you'll look at cognition and behaviour. This will look at memory, perception, development and research methods, and will be assessed through a 1 hour and 45 minute exam worth 100 marks and 50% of your GCSE. And this will be a mixture of multiple choice, short answers and extended writing. In paper 2, you will be looking at social context and behaviour. This is looking at social influence, language, thought and communication, the brain and neuropsychology, and then also psychological problems. Here you'll be thinking about, you'll be assessed through a 1 hour and 45 minute exam with 100 marks, 50% of your GCSE, and this will also be a mixture of multiple choice and short and extended writing answers. So what topics will you study during your psychology GCSE? So firstly, in year 9, you'll be thinking about social influence. Questions you might want to think about here are: who is more likely to offer assistance when someone needs help? Who is more likely to obey? Who actually has authority in society and also in relation to the mind? Who is more likely to be a bystander? And who is more likely to conform? So then thinking about memory. Are there different types of memory? How do we form memories? Do some people have better memory? And how do we recall information? And why is it easier to recall song lyrics rather than revision? And memory will also be studied in year 9. And then further, continuing in year 9, we'll be looking at research methods, thinking about why do psychologists conduct research? Why might it be better to interview someone to gain an insight? And what do we need to consider when experimenting on humans? And should humans be used in research at all? As you progress into year 10, we'll be thinking about development. So here we'll be thinking about, is our behaviour the result of nature or nurture? Do we develop in stages? And why is it better to have a growth mindset? And at what age does a child or children become less self-centered? Also in year 10, you'll look at psychological problems. So why is it important to have an understanding of mental health? How does mental health problems affect individuals? Are some people more likely to develop depression and addiction, and why? And how can we treat individuals? As you then move into year 11, we'll be looking at the brain and neuropsychology. So how does our body prepare us for danger? How do different parts of the body communicate? Is the brain plastic? And how does brain damage affect an individual? Then moving on, we'll be thinking about perception. So why do people see different things in visual illusions? Does culture affect our view? How do we know what we are seeing is actually real? And do our emotions impact on what we see? Finally, in year 11, you'll be thinking about language, thought and communication. So is language linked to intelligence? What can we tell from someone's body language? Does culture affect our view of the world? And how do animals communicate? So, I hope this has been informative for you, and I hope you have got a little bit more of an idea about what psychology is and what you'll be studying as part of your GCSE in psychology at Kingsdale Foundation School. Thank you for listening.